I woke up in a world full of supernatural beings. But I don't remember who I am. Chapter 55, Home Sweet Home Daniel's P. Oh, I rubbed my eyes with heels of my hands in order to make sure that it was all true. My heart thudded inside my chest as I met her eyes again. Those bright green eyes were so captivating that I couldn't remove my gaze from them. Sarah, I whispered. She was leaning against the window of my bedroom dressed in all black. Her beautiful black hair were falling on her shoulders and lips looked naturally red. I wondered how someone could be so beautiful, and it pleased me to know that someone so beautiful was my mate. Hi Daniel, she returned in a calm melodic voice. The urge of being near to her took over, and walked to her, enveloping her in a tight hug. The connection I had always felt towards her intensified at the contact. She wrapped her arms around me, feeling it too. I've missed you, I mumbled at her hair. Me too, she replied, and those words made my heart jump with joy. I pulled away, staring into her moss green eyes, and lowered my head to claim her lips. Her soft lips moved against mine in a slow pace. I wanted more of her, so much more. Her wet tongue caressed my bottom lip, and I opened my mouth to allow her entry. I called her closer to me. Her weight settled on me. She tilted her head for better access. I followed her as she led the kiss. She bit my lower lips teasingly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I moaned. Her lips left mine. I felt the loss instantly. For God's sake, can you stop taking her name while I'm kissing you? A whinny voice completely different from Sarah's said. I opened my eyes to find a blonde straddling me. Reality hit me with a force that left me speechless. Sarah is not here. After amazing last night, I thought I would take care of you when you wake up at the morning. I kiss you and you moan that royal blood's name. She narrowed her eyes at me. You want her. You have told everyone that she is evil and you want her. This is disgusting. How could you want some vile creature like her? I didn't even think once before snapping her neck and pulling it off her body with my bare hands. I threw her headless, limbed body across the room. How dare she insult Sarah like that? I kill anyone who said a bad thing about my lovely Sarah. She is going to be their queen. They better respect her, or I will kill every single one of those creatures. But first I have to dispose this dirty creature's body. Sarah's P. Ovi, what do you mean they're searching for me? I asked Dave quietly. I had returned to the pack in search of Daniel, but he was not there. Dave gave me rather astonishing news. Wilson told me the full details. Everyone in Among Supernatural World knows I'm a royal blood, and so is Blood Devil. And that bastard had sent me to the pack to find a royal blood, and I couldn't find one. He banished me from Vampire Kingdom. He knew I was a royal blood. He always knew. He had fooled me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. That's why he called me Serenity, just like Celine and Matthew. Did he know I was a royal blood when he met me first time? He did, didn't he? I still don't know why he sent me back to the pack. And I most definitely don't know why he imposed Harry. Something was missing in this story. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Everything was missing in this story. I may have knowledge of using my powers now, but when it comes to this royal blood's actual stuff, my mind is blank. And now I'm target of every supernatural being on Earth. I can take them down with my strength. But my powers will not work completely until I'm not with my mate. And that makes me wonder if Daniel is real mate. Or Blood Devil. Blood Devil and I are same species. We both are royal bloods. Maybe because of that he is my real mate, and not Daniel. Isn't that what I've been told? Flashback this line. Miles pointed the thin line. Is your mating bond with Daniel? He said as if telling a child about new thing. And this, he pointed at the other thick line, is the usual werewolf bond. A strong one. Flashback ends. I've always felt something for Blood Devil. I've been attracted to him. I admit that. But there was a spark with Daniel too. This is so much confusing. What is happening here? I squeezed my eyes shut and pushed all these thoughts aside. I had to concentrate on the matter in hand now. Every single creature is after me, and I can't take them down single-handedly. First I have to find my mate. I'm completely sure that Blood Devil is my mate and not Daniel. I have to find Blood Devil. Where he could be. California. You have to prove them that you are not bad. They all think the history of royal bloods is wrong. But something is amiss here. And I found about that from Alpha Wayne. Dave told me. Where's Alpha Wayne? I asked incredulously. He is in hospital. He answered rather hesitantly. Hospital. I was surprised. Hospital. He was injected with silver to the point that he almost died. Luckily he was found by Ethan and we transferred him to hospital. On his way he told me about a book. After reading it I think false information is spread. It doesn't explain much though. Alpha Wayne narrowly escaped but he's been in coma since then. I guess he knows more. Wilson replied, dang it. He's in coma. We have to do something to get him out of coma. I gritted my teeth. And I knew how to do that. I am a royal blood after all. We have been trying with no success. It's been months. Alpha is not waking and doctors predict he won't ever wake up from this state. That I have to go inside his brain. I said simply. Go inside his brain. Dave frowned. I'm a royal blood. I can do anything. I smirked up at him. There was a slight twitch in his lips. Let's see then. Soon Wilson and Ethan left us alone. Dave is alpha of the Moonstone pack now. Daniel has passed the mantle to his shoulders. Wilson is the beta. Unhappy that the pack is in good hands now. But Daniel is up to something. He's teamed up with Vladimir. And the combination is not good. In fact, it is evil. I have a feeling that something ominous is going to happen in near future. Very ominous. So, where's Manny? I asked Dave. He smiled fondly at the mention of his mate. She is fine. Heavily pregnant. In next month I'll be a father. That's amazing. I whispered. I hope everything is fine by next month and after that. I want my nephew or niece to live in a happy environment. Again that bad feeling gnawed my gut. I've not told her about anything going around. He told me. I understood why he hadn't. I nodded at him. She will take too much stress if I tell her anything and I don't want that. You're doing it right, Dave. Stress is not good for Melly right now. She misses you. I smiled knowing it was completely true. I was a bad friend for leaving her like that. I miss her too. I admitted. And that's why I'm going to meet her. Dave beamed at me. That's amazing, Sierra. We should go right now. She is dying to meet you. Isn't she like sleeping? I asked an enthusiastic Dave. Yeah. Well then, when she wakes up. This is called a cell phone. It is a device that allows you wireless connectivity to any person in the world at any place where network is available. It also has features that allow you to send messages and mails. I expected you to be more intelligent, Sarah. Why didn't you contact me? Have you any idea how much I missed you? I broke 3 phones in frustration of waiting for your calls, but they never came. How could you be so cruel? Manny went from sarcastic to emotional in seconds. Tears started streaming down her face. Manny, Dave placed a confronting hand on her shoulder. You go away. I don't want to talk to you. Why didn't you contact her? You knew how much I missed her, but you made no efforts to get in touch with her. She is my best friend. You have any idea how painful is it to be away from your best friend? I guess more painful than being away from your sister. Dave muttered under his breath. She narrowed her eyes at him, her tears stopping. What did you say? She sneered. His eyes widened. I was saying that it is certainly very painful. Very painful. You are right, Manny. She nodded and started sobbing again. I gently rubbed her back as she leaned on me. She was 8 months pregnant. Her belly was large. I had never seen a woman that pregnant before. I'm sorry, Manny. There was a very important task and I had gone to California to take care of it. I mumbled, not letting out the true information. I was not willing to tell that I had been in Alaska for past 7 months. That secret had to be kept with me. I wish you had called. She almost cried. I lost my phone and all contacts in it. I had to lie to her. The less she knew, the safer she was. And besides, I had a certain someone taking care of me. I whispered in a playful tone, and that someone had almost killed me. And let's not forget the way he kissed, bit and licked my neck. I felt heat growing inside me at the thought. To my agent extraordinaire, Marilyn Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She sounded elated. Wasn't she crying like, a second ago? Who was he? The same vampire who saved you? I nodded hesitantly, not looking into her eyes. I had never thought I would have to talk about this to my pregnant best friend. It felt so awkward. What's his name? Harry, I whispered. No way was I going to say blood devil. It would scare my best friend. She was already high on hormones because of her pregnancy. Did? You know what? She wiggled her eyebrows. I guess that's enough, I said, standing up. Wow, you're blushing. My little innocent best friend is blushing. Should I take that as a yes? Shut up, Manny. You are very pregnant. I scowled and turned around. Okay. I'm not going to ask anything about Harry. And don't tell Dave anything, I ordered her. Okay, ma'am. She saluted me, and I rolled my eyes. I'm happy to see you. She smiled. I smiled back at her. I missed you too. But I've to leave in a few days. Don't stress. I'm absolutely fine. You should be. I hope Harry's taking care of you. I smirked with a suggestive glint in her eyes. I'm out of here, I said, exasperated, like walking out of the door. How those girls do it. I find it very awkward. But at least it diverted her attention. Her loud laughter mocked her as I walked out of the room. Chapter 56, Inside Sarah's P. Ovi. I grimaced at the condition of Daniel's father. The great Alpha Harry Wayne Osborne, popularly known as Alpha Wayne. Good did this to him. His influence had diminished to nothing. The scars on his emancipated body made him look like a zombie. He was lying on his deathbed. It won't be long till his breathing stops. All the machines keeping him alive won't be helpful for longer. Yes, in a pretty bad condition, as you can see, Ethan muttered. I nodded, walking towards the Wayne face of our former Alpha. I didn't want to waste time reminiscing about past, so I got with the work and placed my hand gently on his cold head. I closed my eyes, concentrating on reaching the deepest part of his brain where I knew his memories were preserved. I knew I was going to find something resourceful from there. Several images sprinted past me. His childhood, growing up and becoming Alpha, but I was not interested in that. My breathing was getting heavy as energy was draining out of me at an unbelievable rate. I didn't give up because I knew I was nearing it. I saw a young Alpha Wayne and a young Miles shaking hands and talking. They were discussing something about a blue book of supernatural history. Miles fished out a book that looked heavier than my encyclopedia. Its cover was thick black with curvy shiny designs. It was flipped open. Royal bloods are born to keep everything on this earth under control, Miles said. They are very rare species, but more powerful than all the species combined. The Blue Book of Origin of Earth describes their existence. Where is this book? Alpha Wayne asked. I don't know. This book might solve my problem. Miles pointed at the book in front of him. I know, and I'm going to read it. I hope to find the mystery behind royal blood soon, but I think they are not of any threat of werewolves. But we can't take any risks. It's my pack and my beta. I want his mate to be useful to us and not harmful. Gabriella is different. I feel like she is destined too. I couldn't hear anything more as everything went black around me. My head was throbbing. It felt like someone was hammering nails in my skull. I couldn't even move a single muscle in my body. It hurt so much. Worse than the day I was transformed into a vampire by Blood Devil. Serenity. A soft voice called. It sounded very much like Selena's. You can't use your powers freely like that until you mate. While training you were with us. The place had essence of royal blood in it that enhanced your powers. But outside, it will become difficult for you to use them. They will consume a great part of your energy. Unless you mate, you have to refrain from using them. The pain disappeared as soon as Selena's voice faded away. I slowly opened my eyes, adjusting to the sharp glare of light. Groaning, I covered my eyes with my hands. It's too bright. I complained in a groggy voice. The light dimmed around me. Jarvis Sierra, you are finally awake. I heard Dave's voice. I was so worried about you. I opened my eyes and a blurry face of my brother appeared. I slowly opened them and blinked at him. How long? My throat scratching. He fetched a glass of water for me. I drank greedily from it. 27 hours. You've been out for 27 hours. I was so scared. You just passed out all of a sudden. It was my fault, nothing much. I said vaguely. I didn't want to tell him my weakness. I didn't want to tell anyone my weakness. Are you okay? He asked with concern. Yeah, I'm fine. I nodded. I found out something interesting. Come on, Sierra. Not now. I almost lost you. Dave chided. You'll completely lose me if those hounds find me since I'm a royal blood. I said bluntly. This is so messed up. He growled frustrated. I know. Now I have to read that book Wayne told you about. I told him urgently. I think you should take rest. I'm a royal blood. I don't need rest. And I can't waste time. I need to find that book. He nodded his head slowly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Yeah. Can I ask you something? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The man who saved you from fire. He's Blood Devil. Right. I nodded my head, staying quiet. He didn't ask something more and walked out of the room. I have to find Blood Devil. I don't know where he is. With the search going on, I doubt he'll be in Vampire Kingdom. Can he be in California? And I have to find that blue book of Origin of Earth. There's so much to do and the fear of being caught. I can't even use my powers. This all is getting so irritating now. Time is slipping away. Before someone finds me, I have to find Blood Devil and the blue book. Daniels P. O.V. I'm getting frustrated each day. Girls are helping me to satisfy my needs, but I still need Sierra. I want her. I want to be with her in my bed and by my side always. She is so beautiful with her shining green eyes and angelic smile. She is smart, and I miss her so much. I want her back. Daniel. A voice called, breaking the train of my thoughts. Trent was standing on the door. I knew from his stats that he still hadn't found Sierra, but I desperately wished he had. There's not information about Sierra, he said with a sigh. Ethan said that she hasn't come to visit her brother yet. It's been 2 weeks and still there are no signs of Sierra. But there's a good news. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What? I asked curiously. We might know where's Blood Devil. A slow grin appeared on my face. We're going to find Blood Devil soon. And when we do, I'll kill him. I'll shred him into little pieces for taking Sierra away from me. Where is he? California. Chapter 57. Dave is going to kill me. The next time I see him, he'll lock me up in a dungeon and starve me to death. Now my brother won't do that. But he will imprison me for sure. That's what he had promised. If you try to escape, then I will lock you up in the prison and never let you out. So I didn't listen to him and sneaked out at the middle of night. I was going to California to find Blood Devil. Something told me he was there. Maybe my sixth sense. I had a strong feeling that he was somewhere there strolling under the sunlight. So ironic to the existence of vampires, particularly the king of the vampires. I flipped through the pages of the book that explained the history of royal bloods. Royal bloods are said to be descendant of angels. The rough information tells that a child was born to angels. They couldn't keep it with them because the child had some abnormalities that made their existence in heaven nil. It meant the child was either meant to be sent to hell or earth. Of course the angel couple won't send the child to hell, so they dropped him on earth. In the house of a wealthy Bayan couple. That child was direct descendant of angel and very strong. As he grew he found out about his powers. In his dreams the angels taught him how to use them. The name was not given in the book. He fell in love with a girl and they had a kid together. A girl. And then the bloodline of royal blood started. He also had a boy. His kids married someone else and their kids married someone else. The process started. But none of them was able to use their powers. For that they needed to be as strong as the first royal blood. And it was impossible because all of the descendants had only half part of their genes as royal blood part. There are many royal bloods on Earth, but they can use their powers to a small extent only. There are only 2 royal bloods in a generation who can use these complete powers. And these 2 royal bloods are mates. Their blood mixes to form a strong bond that enhances their powers. If they are royal bloods and not mates, then they won't be able to use their powers. It reminded me of Celine and Matthew. They must be mates. That's why they can use their powers. And I can use them only to a certain extent, else I will faint. So I can use to a great extent if I find my mate. And my mate needs to be a royal blood. Blood Devil is a royal blood, but he might or might not be my mate. And Daniel is my mate, but he is not a royal blood. This is so messed up. Can Daniel be a royal blood? There is a possibility that he can be. He never used his powers. He never tried to. That doesn't mean he doesn't have them at all. I have to find out if Daniel is my mate or not. And for that I have to confirm that I'm not Blood Devil's mate, and for that I have to find Blood Devil. What if I'm not his mate? He sent me to find the royal blood even though he knew I was one. Still he sent me to find one. Searching for his mate because he knew I was not the one. Someone else is his mate. That thought made my heart clench in my chest. I felt something like that after a long time. I closed my eyes and tried to something else now. Blood Devil can't have another mate. After what happened in that room in Alaska, no way. I can't bear thinking about it. But isn't that what fate throws in my face, heartache? When it comes to love, my luck is as good as bad luck. Daniel left me for Shay. He was my mate. He was supposed to love me unconditionally, but he chose someone else over me. To make the matters worse, it had to be Shay. Was she better than me? I don't love Blood Devil. I can't love him. But if he's my mate, then I don't know what I will do. Will we mate? He froze in my cheeks at the thought. If I want to use my powers, then I need to mate with him. But if he is not my mate? I slumped back on my seat. This is not getting me anywhere. I need to keep my mind clear. First I have to find out who is exactly my mate. Daniel or Blood Devil. If it's Daniel, then I'll forget the Blood Devil and never think about him again. If it's Blood Devil, I still don't know what will be his reaction. Will he like to be my mate, or will he reject me? That thought of being rejected made my heart shrink. I have to think positive or my mind will explode before I find either of the 2 men. I hope Daniel returns from his exile soon. Where does this man go when he is needed most? University of California. I have to find that university and search for Blood Devil. How difficult it will be. I have to look for Harry Roberts. How will I find the boy though? Will the technique of seduction work? Thank you so much. I smirked up at the lean boy with tangled hair. He looked so nervous as I leaned forward, chuckling to myself. I pulled back and gave him a flying kiss before heading towards the address. I finally found out where Harry was. Now the question is he really Blood Devil? The last time I saw D was when he had possessed Harry, or when he was Harry. This is turning more confusing the more I think about it, so I shut my mind up and knocked on the door of the apartment. It was a nice building. I, for sure, knew that he could afford it easily. And a college student might. That all depends upon circumstances. When there was no response from the other side, without thinking as I had told myself earlier to do, I pushed the door with a little more force that it broke from its lock broke. I barged inside and my eyes almost bulged at the scene in front of me. Harry had a girl under him wearing his shirt while he was wearing only boxers. They both were indulged in a heavy make-out session. My heart constricted at the sight. With a hanging mouth, I tried to control the hurt and building rage inside me. Don't let him be Blood Devil. Please. I begged my fate. But fate always has the cruel way of showing what life is. And it has always been cruel to me. What can be different this time? They were sniffing for the royal bloods, but there was not a trace of them. It would have been easier if they exactly knew where that bloody royal blood was. He would squeeze the bastard with his bare hands. And where was that mutt Petro who told them that he had seen Blood Devil in California? He was supposed to meet them, but there was not even a single sign of him. He looked around carefully and sniffed in the air. Something was different in this air. His sensations grew as a smirk played on his lips. A vampire had been in that place. The place mostly had buildings and houses, mostly to let apartments for college students. Maybe vampires from California had also gotten the air of blood devil in that Sierra. Sierra, she was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. But damn that blood devil who didn't let anyone come near his precious Sierra. She was the second vampire he had turned. There was no doubt. The girl was insanely beautiful and equally talented. She was fast and smart. He was not the only one who had wanted her. And he hated it immensely. He hated her for making him want her. If it was not her, he would have long taken over that blood devil and ruled the vampire kingdom. He would have kept Sierra by his side. He would have treated her better than blood devil ever did. But she was so stupid, and like those girls who tried to gain blood devil's attention. She was attracted to that man. It was clearly visible to him, but blood devil never noticed. For him she was his pampered girl. The only girl he ever turned into a vampire. What if she was the only female turned by Blavel? He was the only male turned by him. And he will show blood devil that he was far away to better than anyone. And Sierra, she will be his. At every cost. Once he destroys blood devil, then Daniel will only be the last problem left. And he can kill that mutt with a snap of his finger. Sir, we found the werewolf. He is ready to lead us to blood devil. His man said. Vladimir smirked heavily. Let's go then. Chapter 58. Hello, mate. Series P. Ovi, surely my eyes were not deceiving me. As much as I wanted to go there and rip him off her, I couldn't do that. My feet were glued to my place as I witnessed Harry kissing her neck. He had kissed my neck the same way. I gritted and turned away, not wanting to witness the sight further. As soon as I turned around, my eyes met dark green orbs staring back at me. I stood there blanking, slowly moving my eyes over the handsome face. They moved lower to take in his three-piece Armani suit and polished shoes. I could see my face in those shoes. And it was blank. It was a moment of triumph. I had schooled my expressions properly. My eyes traveled up to meet those green orbs again. They were so intense, and I held the stare bravely. His face was few inches away from me. He came nearer. I felt his warmth radiating in waves. My hands itched to reach out and touch him, but I willed them to stay at the place. A moan sounded in the air, distracting me from my thoughts. Those green orbs shifted off my face and looked at the couple busy on the couch. He looked back at me, not saying anything. Are you there, or are you here? I asked quietly, pointing behind me. He stared at me, unblinkingly for a couple of seconds. His eyes lowered to my lips and traveled back to my eyes. What do you think? His breath fell on my face as he spoke. Before I could answer, his face turned and his expressions became sharp and alert. I knew something was wrong. His face said it all. Something was so terribly wrong. I wanted to groan out of frustration. We are not going to be interrupted. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Without saying anything, he pulled my hand and I closed my eyes, completely trusting. He could get me out of there. The air whooshed past me and my hair flew. We were outside the confines of apartment and into the busy street. When I opened my eyes again, I found B standing rigidly staring at something intensely. Following his gaze, my eyes fell off the dark-haired man who I've known since past 2 years. Vladimir. He was staring back at us with a couple of vampires. They were from the vampire kingdom. His eyes met mine and I was to take a step forward to head in his direction, but D blocked my way with his large frame. I looked at the back of his head quizzically. I didn't even know what was going around, and it was turning very frustrating. I bet B would be feeling like HES at the top of the world right now. Vladimir started walking in our direction, ignoring all the pedestrians. I was surprised when he passed the busy road without getting hit by any car driver. He walked like he owned the world. There was a tension in his shoulders that didn't go unnoticed by me. When is ever there not any tension in his head? He gets angry at little things and lets out his frustration on me. When I was in Vampire Kingdom, I was almost scared of Vladimir. He was scary when he was angry. I don't know what should be my reaction now. Don't get involved in this. I'll tell you about it soon. Stay here and don't move. B.D. said and then walked towards Vladimir, who stood rooted at his place. They talked and B. led him to an alley. I was standing alone without any idea of what to do. Sure, there were people walking around me, but still I felt kind of alone. Someone was watching me. I could feel it. I was about to turn around and give them a piece of my mind before they spoke. Don't move or hell be dead. A male voice growled behind me. A werewolf who will be dead. B.D. But that was impossible. Then I noticed another werewolf and he had Harry with him. The boy looked dazed. His eyes were glassed over. He could have been possessed. That seemed like the only valid reason to me. I don't think werewolves can do that. Unless they have a witch or wizard supporting them. Who are you? I asked the tanned-skin werewolf. At my question, a sick grin formed on his face. His eyes turned evil and I could have sworn his face morphed to someone else's for a shake before turning back normal. And that was all too familiar to me. I couldn't help but wonder how Daniel managed to do that. Or there might be someone else who was doing this to scare me. But him, an 18-year hybrid of royal blood, vampire and a werewolf, and not a 70-years-old human lady. My eyes couldn't have deceived me. He was Daniel, werewolf. I didn't ask him what he was, rather who he was. And was he not aware that I was also a werewolf and could easily recognize one? I know. But do you have a name? And what is Daniel to you? I asked, wearily thinking of a way to save Harry from his clutches. I took a step forward, keeping my eyes looked to werewolf. My name is Theo Larson. Daniel is my master, he answered monotonously. His master? Your master? I wondered, taking another step forward. Again I saw his face morph to Daniel's. It switched back between Daniel and the OS face as he answered me. You are my queen, he is your, and I will mate, and he of you has sent me very soon to get you Syrah. The veins on his neck were poking. His hold on Harry tightened and I heard a crunch of bones. Harry screamed out loudly in pain, startling Theo. I took that opportunity to attack him. I rammed my body again the OS and Harry's body went flying away. He was unconscious soon. Theo, on the other hand, was growling under me. I slammed my fist to his face several times. He was unable to free himself as I landed blows after blows on him. It didn't take long before he was knocked down cold, but it wouldn't take long before he is healed. Looking for BD. I almost forgot about Harry, but then I went to the unconscious boy and picked up his body. I hadn't noticed that we had already somehow ventured to the alleyway. I could have ran to hospital with Harry, but it would have looked suspicious. He was losing conscious and it won't be long before he loses his life too. If I don't do anything soon. I pierced skin of my hand with my fangs. Dark red blood started oozing out of it. I shoved my wrist to his mouth. Even if he was unconscious, he won't be able to resist the temptation of my blood. He drank my blood. His body started healing when my blood reached the injured parts of his body, but it also reached the unaffected parts. This is going to have some serious side effects. And I was worrying about the safety of BD. He was in another alley. The sun was already setting. I didn't have talked to him before Vladimir had to butt in. That's what he always did. Even when I was in Vampire Kingdom, he always made sure to be present whenever BD and I were alone. As if he didn't trust me. He was so protective of BD that it made me so angry. Now he is again engaged with BD. They might be discussing about some crappy business in Vampire Kingdom. Or are they discussing about how every supernatural being is after us? Or Vladimir is after us? Dang it. I left Harry to heal and went to the other alley, which was empty. There were no signs of either BD or Vladimir. Maybe I entered the wrong one. But I couldn't be wrong. My brain was sharp enough. I checked other allies fast, but they were nowhere to be found. I groaned, frustratingly hating the situation so much that I wanted to rip my hairs out. I just only met Blood Devil and he again disappeared. Stupid bastard. I didn't know who I was calling that name. Vladimir or Blood Devil. Definitely Blood Devil. It's not nice to call your mate bad names. A velvety voice said in my ear. I knew the voice too well. I tried to turn around, but hands on my waist stopped me. It sent a jolt of sparks through me that made me gasp in surprise. I had never felt something like that. His cheek was pressed against the side of my head. His chest was against my back. The hands on my weight moved to front and circled around my stomach. "Hello, mate," he whispered in my ear. Chapter 59. Waking up, I was jolted up in surprise. Breathing heavily, I roamed my eyes around. The first thing I noticed was a dimly lit room. It reminded me a lot of my room back in Vampire Kingdom. The second thing I noticed was that the sheets were in blood red color. They were soft. It was a four-poster bed. The room was strikingly similar to the one I had before. It was not only similar, it was indeed the same room. I jumped out of the bed. Surely the walls were colored dark blue. There was a chandelier on the center of the ceiling of my big room. There was a closet pushed at the furthest corner, a desk and chair, a big couch, a huge pot at the side of the way that led to balcony. It was really my room, and I was in Vampire Kingdom. But was Vampire Kingdom taken over Daniel and his friends? I walked to the balcony. It was night time. The full moon was glowing in the sky. The stars were twinkling around it. I watched over the kingdom. Everything was normal. In the dead silence of night, nothing seemed wrong. What was happening? Was I caught? And where was Blood Devil? I'm right here. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The very familiar voice spoke, and I whirled around. Leaning against the rail, there stood Blood Devil dressed in his signature, all-black dress. I felt self-conscious standing in front of him dressed in nothing more than my flimsy white nightgown. I stared at his handsome face. Dark green eyes stared back at me. There were 2 wine glasses in his hand, but there was no wine in them. There was blood. He neared me and leaned against the railing beside me, staring down at his kingdom. His face was blank of any expression. Handing over one glass to me, he sipped from the other one. I eyed the liquid in my glass. "How are you feeling now?" he asked me calmly. His velvety voice almost made me sway towards him. And I almost did. "Better," I replied quietly. But I was really confused. What had happened while I was sleeping? Surely I was not just sleeping. I really feel like I've missed something really big. But I have no idea what. I know you have many questions in your mind. Please ask. I'll try to answer them. My mind raced with different questions. There were so many that I felt headache coming. My brain was overloaded with all these unanswered questions. What happened? I asked softly. At that moment, I had no idea what was right and what was wrong. What was a fantasy and what was reality? My memories were vague. But as I stood there, beside him, they were becoming clearer and clearer with every passing second. "What do you think happened?" He didn't answer my question but asked one more. It confused me more. All I wanted was to know the answer. "I don't really know." I mumbled, not wanting to say anything. First I wanted to hear what he thought. "You returned from your pack and after that you dozed off. You didn't complete your job and you are sleeping here. A vampire sleeping. That's pretty disgraceful. You know, living in Vampire Kingdom and sleeping." I watched him unblinking lie. "Returned from the pack. Now that you are back here, I expect you to be responsible and refrain from your habit of sleeping. Werewolves might do it, but we, vampires, don't. And I will talk later about you not finding out about the air. Come down to my study in 15 minutes, he said in his flat voice and gave me last lingering look before stalking out. I, on the other hand, sat on the bed thinking what did just happen. Gears in my head turned. Blood Devil was talking as if he was not my mate. Of course he had always talked to me, but that thing lacked in his voice. That thing. I don't know what it is, but it was not there. The way he talked to me as Harry and just a few moments ago when he called me his mate. There was a slight difference. I jumped from the bed and looked at myself in the mirror. BD talked about not finding the heir. Didn't he know that I was the heir? Of course he knew that. And he is also an heir. Celine and Matthew told me. Not only heir, but he was my mate. What the freaking hell is going on here? My eyes were bloodshot. My skin was pale. I touched my neck where I was bitten by Harry or BD but didn't feel anything at all. The skin was soft and clear. No signs of puncture wounds. as if they had never happened. My mind stopped. Never happened. That didn't happen. But how is that even possible? I remember that time so clearly. No, it can't be possible. I was banished from the vampire kingdom. But here I am back again. In the vampire kingdom. And then I went to Alaska and met my childhood friend's family. Then I came to know that Harry was actually BD and real Harry was in California. And then there were Celine and Matthew, who taught me something for a long time. 7 months. And I don't remember anything. But that doesn't explain how I remembered Daniel's plans. How do I remember Daniel wanting to kill BD because he wanted me? It was pretty absurd. And how on earth he came to know that I and BD were heir? Oh right. That book. And his father. And Vladimir wanting me. Me Vladimir. That was something impossible. It was like I was reading his thoughts when he thought that he wanted me. But even the idea of that is impossible. Only that simple thing proves that all of it was some sort of nightmare. But how can a nightmare can reveal so much? Were any of these things even real? I want them to be real. I was with Blood Devil. So much has happened, then why is Blood Devil acting like nothing had happened at all? Is he playing another game with me? I looked at myself and I was dressed in a dark top, leather jeans and a leather jacket. The same attire I wore when I returned from the pack. I remember it clearly because I wanted to wear good enough clothes in case B decided to kill me when he came to know that I was not going to tell him about Heir. No, I didn't want to die wearing something good, but I wanted to wear something that would help me to run away easily. I pressed my fingers to my head. Headache was taking surface. If I thought about it much, then my mind was going to explode. What was the bloody year? Was it still 2016 or was it 2017? I reached for my cell phone. That bloody thing was going to explain this mess for me. The gadget lit up and only added more to my confusion by flashing 2016 on the screen. There was no way it was 2016. A year has passed. Manny's baby was going to be born. Someone must have tampered with my phone. Yeah, that explains it. It is 2016 and not 2017. It might have been the stress and my world revolved around me and everything turned black. Blood Devil smirked at the werewolf standing in front of him. The creature had guts. He had to admit, "We want you to hand over that girl to us." The werewolf made his voice firm, as if Blood Devil was going to concede by his request. It was not actually a request, but that's how Blood Devil saw it as. A request. He always saw it as a request because no one could ever demand from him. What gives you the idea that I will hand over her to you? Blood Devil said in his cool voice. He didn't let on whether he was going angry or pleased. It was never possible to know. But Vladimir had studied his features over the years and he knew that Blood Devil was slightly angry but mostly curious. The werewolf king demands a presence. Even Vladimir knew that the werewolf was lying. The way his heart rate palpitated with that statement. It was only obvious. To deal with a vampire is not easy. To lie to a vampire is impossible. And if one lies to a vampire, it is very apparent to that vampire if the person is lying. The same happened with Sierra. Blood Devil knew she was lying. Vladimir only wondered why Blood Devil let her go without question. Maybe the king really had a soft spot for her. But he knew that after the lie, the soft spot was going to become hard gradually. Don't lie to me, werewolf. Blood Devil started cruelly. I know Werewolf King has nothing to do with it. And even if he had, he couldn't summon her. She is no longer a werewolf. She has vampire blood in her. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She has rejected her mate. She has no relation to the werewolf kingdom. She has her brother there. The werewolf argued. Not blood, related. Blood Devil said easily, and there was a momentary look of surprise on the werewolf's face before it was masked by cool expression. The werewolf didn't reply. You hold a high position in the werewolf community, so I am not going to harm you. You are not going to get the girl. Vladimir will see you out. Alpha Kyle. Vladimir could only think one thing and couldn't help but find satisfaction in that. Sierra Winters was in big trouble. Chapter 60 Search Against RSP. OV. I woke up to the sound of Kiru ping birds. Opening my eyes, I yawned and sat up. I raised my hands above my head and stretched my arms. What a beautiful morning. That was until I was splashed with water. When I looked down, I realized it was not just water but muddy water. There were even worms crawling. My face scrunched up in disgust. I looked up at the culprit leaning against the wall near the door. He had a bored look on his face. I clenched my jaw and tried to look calm. It was hard to as I felt one worm on my arm. I suppressed a squeal in my throat. "Good morning, Queen," he muttered sarcastically. His green eyes leveled with mine. His creator was blood devil, so his eyes also green. That's a feature we three share. "Good morning," I replied, not saying another word. My whole attention was focused on the creature crawling on my upper arm. I wanted to get rid of it before the thing got under the sleeve of my nightgown. "I don't know what type of vampire are you?" Vladimir started, and I wanted to seriously do something to his pretty face. I didn't reply to him because the worm had already made its way under the sleeve of nightgown. Keeping my face cool was going to be a very difficult task. Sleeping all night. "I can call you a disgrace to vampires." He continued taunting me. My eyes narrowed at his words. Before I could say something smart back to him, the presence of worm became more noticeable as it moved to the sensitive part of my arm. The squeal that left my mouth made him smirk. He knew the worm was making me uncomfortable. He knew it. Then, without giving me another glance, he walked outside. The look on his face was one of triumph. I jumped out of my bed and threw away my clothes. That left me in my underclothes. I grimaced at my now-ruined bed. Cursing Vladimir inside my head, I stomped towards the bathroom angrily. That man always makes me angry. He frightens me at the same time. He frustrates me to a point that I want to hurt him real bad. But I can't do that, else he will kill me. These all emotions sum up to an intense hatred. The hatred that is meant to reside inside, and not to come out at any cost. Vladimir is dear to BD. He is the first vampire BD made. Second is Sierra Winters. That's me. It's an honor to be transformed into a vampire by BD. I'm glad I'm graced with it. And Vladimir should have his share of praise too. As much as I hate him, I can't deny he is extremely good at whatever he does. He's an amazing fighter. Much better than me. And I'm one of the best fighters in the kingdom. But I doubt he can be better than BD. To my audiobook coiner, my Nilben. Hearts out thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. My eyes longed to see him again. I bathed thoroughly, still feeling those worms crawling up on me. I dressed in a shirt and a pair of dark skinny jeans. I pulled a grey vest over my dark shirt and stepped out of my room. I looked left and right in the corridor, something I always do. I made my way towards the kitchen. Only a few humans and I ate food. Rest fed on blood from slaves. I was glad I was still eating food and not drinking blood. Maybe my royal blood genes are responsible for it. But they will also be responsible for my death once BD realizes that I am the heir. Especially when he comes to know that I lied to me. He will roast me alive. But something in my gut tells me he won't do that to me. Sure, he will get angry, but he won't kill me. Right. The disgrace to vampires is having human breakfast. What a disgrace. The taunting voice of Vladimir greeted me as usual. I closed my eyes and counted to 10. I don't know why he hates me so much. The stupid man has nothing better to do, so he always has fun teasing me. And what are you doing here? Having cravings in the morning? I asked him calmly. I can never let him know how much he irritates me. You are the one, his weird cravings. He eyed my food with disgust. BD has summoned both of us. Don't waste time now. Finish your food quick and come to his study in 5 minutes. Not a second more. He ordered me and then made his way out of the kitchen casually. I glared at his back and then went back to eat my toasted bagels. I had a quick breakfast and rushed to the office. Vladimir was already standing outside the door, which told me that I was not late. Save by a second. Vladimir muttered, and I smiled sarcastically at him. He gave me a cold look and entered without knocking. I followed behind him. Blood devils, study looked ancient. He was sitting on a leather chair and his eyes were on a paper in his hands. There was a large mahogany desk. Everything on it was in place. There was even ink pot and feather. But most importantly, there was another ink pot with designer Phoenix and a fountain pen with similar designs. I knew for sure that it had cost him a fortune. The thing looked really beautiful. If I looked beyond its beauty, there would be a stack of dollars that would be enough to buy me a car. I am a vampire. I won't need a car, but I sure want a car. A disgrace to vampires. I could hear Vladimir's voice in my head. He has always called me that. I gave him a sideways glaze. He was not looking at me. When I looked back at Blood Devil, his green eyes were focused on me. I almost shuddered at the intensity of his gaze. Your Highness, he greeted and followed his suit. BD didn't move his gaze from mine. He didn't even look at Vladimir. I could feel irritation radiating from Vladimir. I was scared. Did he know about my lie? If he did, then I was dead. He was going to chop me into little pieces. He would give me a very painful death. I need you to do a job for me. He started in his typical style. Straight to work. I've got an information implying the royal blood heir might be in the territory of the Blue Moon Pack. I sighed in relief. Blue Moon Pack? Why does the name sound so familiar? Wait, isn't it Kyle's pack? Alpha Kyle will be present there for your arrival. You both leave in an hour. Pack all the things you want to carry. Talon will take you to the territory of the pack. He told us. Talon is the BDS driver. Even though the vampire doesn't need car, he likes to have it. Reluctantly, we both had to agree. I didn't have the nerve to protest. I remember Kyle so clearly. He was the same Alpha who helped in training Moonstone Pack. And he was also the same Alpha who told me that he liked me. Now I have to go to that pack. Face that Alpha. Stay there for God knows how long. It will be really awkward. I just hope he had found his mate. The situation won't be difficult for me to handle then. The awkwardness will not be there. BD dismissed us, and we made our way to our rooms. My room was across Vladimir's. We both were important vampires because we were the only vampires turned by BD. We were among the best. That's why he is giving us this job of finding royal blood heirs. If he is giving this job to us, then it must be really important. I wish it was no, and BD was not very adamant to find the heir. I want to talk him out of it, but I don't have the courage. He makes me really nervous. He is intimidating and so handsome. I can only think of kissing him. For some reason, ever since I've woken up, my thoughts are really in riots. Very sinful images of BD and me are flashing in my brain. Biting and sucking my neck. It feels so real, but it is not. I know I've never been in that place. I've always felt this infatuation with BD, but it was never as strong as it is now. I froze and stepped aside when I saw a mass of black barreling towards me. The dark red hair flipped as the girl ran past me. My hair flew as the air whizzed. With annoyance, I looked at the guilty person. She was seconds away from crashing to the wall, but came to a halt. It didn't take me long to recognize her, Celia something. She is one of the maids working around. And she thinks she is going to marry Blood Devil one day. Wishful thinking. There are several vampires who think that they can have Blood Devil and become the queen of the vampire kingdom. No one was happy when I came to Vampire Kingdom. I mean no female vampire. I was the only vampire Blood Devil ever. This made them extremely jealous. But they had to be polite to me because Blood Devil demanded so. But still there were some who didn't hesitate at showing their dislike towards me. Celia is one of them. Look who's back. She sneered at me. Her blood-red painted lips curled in displeasure at me. Like any normal female vampire. She was very beautiful. She was a very beautiful vampire. At one point, she was Blood Devil's mistress. I don't know when though. It was before I came. The thought makes me sick in the stomach. Thanks for the warm welcome, I retorted sarcastically. When she first bullied me, I never said anything back and tolerated her jabs. But not now. Before I went back to the pack, I used to hide from her. But not now. Now I feel more powerful than before. Maybe the knowledge that there's something different in my blood is doing this, making me all confident. And rejecting Daniel has also made me more confident of myself. I can't let anyone run over me. Shay had done it once. I won't let anyone else do it again. She smirked and her dark grey eyes glinted cruelly at me. You know, I took care of Blood Devil when you were not here. She told me, and I narrowed my eyes at her. I spent almost every day and night with him. You kept him starved for a whole year. I quenched his thirst into months when you were away. I didn't like to think about it. There was a pain in my chest that erupted when she spoke. Her words stabbed right to my heart. Uncomfortable feelings settled in my chest. The last time I had felt it was when Daniel had told me that I was not his mate. I'm feeling it again now, as if it was some sort of rejection. But she can be lying. I've never seen Blood Devil with any other female species like that since I came here. Celia and Blood Devil had a cast, but that didn't mean he would go back to her. Right. He didn't do it. Even if he did, who am I to be upset? She's not my mate or anything. Then why does it hurt? It's not supposed to hurt. I faced heartbreak once. I don't want it again. Yet my stupid heart is playing games with me yet again. But I refuse to believe Celia. I don't want to believe her. She is just lying. She has said several things to me in past, especially relaying her personal meeting with Blood Devil in past. They hadn't hurt so bad back then. But now, I feel like my heart is shattering. I know what it is. I've gone through this phase once. My heart is in a real danger. She's not lying, Vladimir said. I had almost forgotten that he was almost standing there. I glared at him as he spoke those words. My heart clenched inside my chest, but I replaced it by anger for the vampire standing in front of me. I have always hated Vladimir. He had always mistreated me. If it wasn't for the Blood Devil, he might have killed me a long time ago. Whatever. It's not like I care. Right, Vladimir said sarcastically. I clenched my jaw and stomped away from them. My anger was spiking. If I had stood there any second longer, I could have snapped both of their necks. At least see Elias. Vladimir would have put a tough fight and might have snapped my neck instead. Chapter 61 Blue Moon's Heir EP8. The Blue Moon pack is the biggest pack. It has the most trained wolves. The territory is the largest. I don't know why I am even telling you this. You probably know everything about it. Vladimir told me in a bored tone. He was driving the blue Mustang and heading towards the Blue Moon territory. I was on the passenger seat. Why do we always go to a werewolf territory to find the heir? I wondered out loud. I don't know. I've been to 5 packs before in search of the heir. I was surprised by his answer, and I had thought that my search in my pack was the first one. Blood Devil has been searching for the heir before I even met him, which means that this must be really, really important to him. If he comes to know that I am the heir, then he will not let me live. I closed my eyes and prayed to God to save me. Blood Devil is really going to kill me. He makes my heart race, for all the reasons. I don't know what he will do when he will find out. I hope he will never find out about this. If he does, then my world will end. It'll be completely ruined. I wish I was not the heir. I wouldn't have gotten in so much trouble if I was not. Staring out of the window, I watched the trees sprinting past as I collected the same parts of my brain. Lie has a way to make one feel like this. It instills a fear so deep that you will feel it everywhere you go until the truth comes out. This feeling is so bad. I want to get rid of it. That means telling BD the truth. But if he comes to know that I lied to him, then he will give me a more painful death. How easy it is to make up stories for little kids. But when a lie is told to someone stronger, it turns out to be a big sin. This lie has the potential to wipe out the smile off my face. I can't even think clearly because my brain is clouded with all the possibilities of what will happen when the truth is revealed. It's all negative thinking. But how can I think of something positive happening when it is sure that something bad is going to happen? By lying, IVE just made it worse. The distance disappeared as we drove to Blue Moon Pack's territory. The werewolf scent was growing stronger and stronger. I became alert of the situation. What made me more nervous was the inevitable meeting with Kyle. I really hope he has found his mate. Or he has moved on from me in some way. I can't get in these troubles of heart again. It's the first time I'm working together with Vladimir on something. There's also a possibility that he will find out about my truth. He is smart. Way too smart for my liking. What happens when he finds out that I'm the heir? He will tell BD for sure. What will I do then? I can't just let him go and spill my secret. See what I said? Once you lie, you throw yourself in this web of possibilities and there is no way of coming out of it without any damage. Now I just can't thinking about what can happen. We entered the civilization. No wolves attacked us. It means Kyle must have already informed his pack about our arrival. The place was normal. It looked like Moonstone pack. But the werewolf scent was strong, which means that the wolves in the pack are really strong warriors. Do you know where are we going? I asked Vladimir. No. I'm just driving with you because I like to. He muttered sarcastically. I threw him a glare. He never gives me a straight answer. I knew you love me, I retorted. In your dreams. He threw back. I bit my tongue. There was no use of arguing with him. A conversation with Vladimir means elevating your blood pressure. I don't need that right now. I have to face Kyle and his pack. I wonder if he had told his friends about his feelings for me. Vladimir stopped the car in front of large iron gates. They must weigh tons. A werewolf approached us. He talked with Vladimir and the gates were opened. It revealed a humongous pack house. I don't know what to call it. It was so large. The 5-story building was covered in large glass panes. How had I not seen it before? The thing couldn't be missed by a myopic eye. And I have vampiric eyes. A disgrace to vampires. I heard that annoying voice of Vladimir again in my head through a glare at him. He was looking straight ahead as he drove slowly. He sensed my gaze on him and gave a questioning look on my glare. I huffed and looked away from him. Weird, he muttered under his breath. I refused to say anything, going back to assessing the wonderful building. The red and blue colors could be seen where glass was missing. Surrounding the building was acres of land. We are here, Vladimir announced. To our agent extraordinaire, mythical. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I inquired. Hell! What was I expecting? A direct answer from him. That's never going to happen. He stopped the car and I saw several werewolves standing there. I recognized Jason, the beta of the pack, standing among them. When he made eye contact with me, I smiled at him and he smiled back. He also recognized me. I had thought he would have forgotten me. Vladimir parked the car and I got out of it. I walked to Jason. He was the only one I knew. I wondered where others were. Hello, Beta Jason. I greeted him cheerfully. Spending the car ride with Vladimir was suffocating. The change in person is a relief. Sarah Winters, I never thought I would see you again, he said with a smile. You remember me? How could I not? The most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Still without a mate? I shocked. And who is he? He looked over my shoulder. I followed his gaze to find Vladimir coming out of the car and heading towards us. His pale skin made him odd one out among us. I think I should exclude myself considering my own skin is pale. Vladimir, I answered casually. I know. But who is he to you? Don't you think he is a bit too pale for being a werewolf? He asked me. I gave him a questioning look. Vladimir was not a werewolf. Neither was I. We were vampires. Who told him that Vladimir was a werewolf? And does he still think that I am a werewolf? I never told him the truth. He had already left by the time it was out. Yeah, he is pale. All thanks to a plastic surgery. He misbehaved with a female werewolf once and she damaged his face with wolfsbane. He didn't want to carry those scars, so a plastic surgery was performed and he was given a very pale skin. I made up the story. Vladimir glared at me. He had heard my conversation with Jason. Jason wanted to say something more but stopped as Vladimir approached us. He pasted a smile on his face and held out a hand for Jason. Hello, my name is Vladimir Summers. He introduced himself. That was the first time I heard his last name. What a great coincidence. He is a Summers and I am a Winters. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Though he should be the one named Winters because he is always so cold. I'm Jason, Beta of the Blue Moon Pack, Jason said. I was informed about your arrival. We are glad you are here. Jason doesn't know we are vampires. He thinks we are werewolves. How can he think so? What lies were told to him? I want to meet the Alpha, Vladimir said directly. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Noble. Hearts out thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He's always so rude. Sure, sir. Please follow me. Alpha is inside. That was the moment where at the worst. I was going to meet Kyle again. When we walked into Kyle's office, I wanted to take a U-turn and run away. My last encounter with Kyle was one which was not worth remembering, but still it was plastered in the walls of my brain. Very slowly, I stepped inside after Vladimir. He was the least bit bothered. Entering the room, I was welcomed by all the familiar scent. The scent of the boy I once flirted with to make my stupid werewolf mate jealous. The same boy who had told me that he had feelings for me. The same boy is the alpha of the strongest pack, and I might now spend 2 months in his territory. He was still unmated. Carl stood up from his seat, revealing the perfect body of a strong alpha. His muscles were even more defined than before. He must have trained a lot to get that. I'm sure that under his grey t-shirt, but packs were hiding. He looked more intimidating than ever before. I could only stare at his tan face. He didn't look at me once as he greeted us. His eyes were only on Vladimir, even if they flickered somewhere else. He never met mine. There was no doubt that he was avoiding me. I let it be that way. Vladimir and I sat on a comfortable leather couch, and he did too. Jason was still standing there behind Kyle, his arms crossed over his chest. When he looked at me, I didn't know what he was thinking, but there were several questions at his eyes that he decided not to ask then. I was informed of your arrival, Vladimir. Cole spoke to him. How is Alpha Johnson? I was puzzled. Enthusiasm in my head. I wanted to kill Vladimir for keeping me in dark about these matters. He could have told me something in the car ride. He didn't even inform me that we were to pose as werewolves. And now there is Alpha Johnson also. I was slightly pissed. My question is, who's Alpha Johnson? He's doing well, Vladimir replied. He was happy that you invited us. So we were invited. I'm glad that you graced us with your presence. The tone Kyle used was not that of a highly pleased person. Neither it was of an alpha who took it as an opportunity to improve the relations between 2 packs. I couldn't compare it with one of the alpha who was going to kill another pack. He sounded so different yet so same at the same time. There was something wrong. But what? But we were told that you were to visit with your mate. Jason piped in. Vladimir was to visit with his mate. He never told me he had a mate. The poor soul. Yes, he said cheerfully. Let me introduce you my mate. Sierra Winters.